When I became a man, I put away childish things. But before I became a man, I did always fit the shoes of a king. I was a child trying to find his way, and the toys I played with kept my eyes occupied and left my mind in a lustful, boyish frenzy. My playmates had long legs, short skirts, and soft skin. Jezebel was my only best friend.
When I became a woman, I put away girlish stuff. But before I became a woman, I didn't always fit the high heels of a queen. I was a young girl trying to figure out her business. I would fantasize about my man and imagine him very masculine and good looking. His lustful nature and his gullibility is what I fell for.
Before I became a man, I always came to church, but I didn't know much. I saw how God made Adam from dust, so likewise, I tried to make love out of lust. My friends would tell me, let your mouth speak the game, but never let your heart say much. In the church, I treated sisters like they were beauty pageant contestants, as if there would be no returns for their investments. Proverbs 31 was never a criterion for my selections. Mind you, this was before I became a man.
Before I became a woman, I saw how God made man in his own image. Likewise, I wanted my man in my own image. I only dined with those who looked well on paper and who momentarily worshipped me. I didn't take a second look at their godliness. Their degree of righteousness and spirituality didn't mean a thing to me. Mind you, this was before I became a woman.
And before I became a man, I was much shorter. Not just in height, but in spiritual insight. I never had a picture at the back of my mind of how God's man should really look like. But when I became a man, I learned how to love God right back.
Before I became a woman, I was very petty. Not just in my relationships, but also in the things of God. Because I never really understood what Proverbs 31 description of a virtuous woman really meant. But when I became a woman, I learned how to let go.
And even though I fall short at His glory,
I reflect on my story,
and through my praise,
I will self-publish a testimony.
When I became a man, I learned how to cry. I was no longer ashamed of my tears, neither was I shaken by my fears. I only learned how to cast my cares upon the Lord.
When I became a woman, I learned to stand my ground. I learned how to wait for the one good man. I wasn't scared to say no to being without a man just because everyone else had a wrong man.
And when I became a man, I learned how to love hard. My Esther, my Ruth.
When I became a woman, I learned how to wait for my David, my Daniel.
I learned how to honor her.
He learned how to honor me like I was Jesus' mother, because one day I will be pregnant with a seed to transport his legacy.
So that my God and my name will both have longevity, even after they bury me. I became a man, so that when my own little son becomes a man,
so that until my own little daughter becomes a woman,
he can see that I am a man.
She can see that I am a woman.
Who picked up the gospel.
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 And put the toys away.
And put away girlish stuff.
When I became a man.
When I became a man.